Good morning. Brother Anthony here, the Broad Street Church of Christ, saying grand risings to my brothers and my sisters. We come to you now with another Thursday throwback message. And we're talking about those mountains that's in the Bible. On numerous occasions, Jesus said to the people, if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you can tell this mountain, you can tell this mulberry mess, you can tell this thing in front of you to move and it will relocate itself. But Jesus said the key phrase, if you have faith. Well, what about those mountains that Jesus strategically sent before you? Those mountains that you're traveling on the road and everything is all right, and next thing you know, bam, here comes that mountain. You're meandering through life, you're trying to be successful, and you're trying to do things that you deem to be pleasing to God, and next thing you know, here comes that mountain. In Genesis 22, we see such a mountain, and that mountain is called Mount Moriah. Now, let me go ahead and tell you the English definition of the meaning of Moriah. Moriah is where your heart is tested. Moriah is the mountain where you, as a disciple of Jesus, would take all that is dear to you and offer it before God as a sacrifice. In Genesis chapter 22, on this very mountain, Mount Moriah, God told Abraham to offer up thy son, thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest. Well, first of all, we need to get some context to that particular scripture. See, Isaac was not Abraham's only son. In fact, Abraham had a son named Ishmael, and he was Abraham's firstborn son. But God strategically lets us know that what he does not recognize, he does not authorize. Abraham and Sarah went out and they went before God and they did their own thing. And as a result, Ishmael was birthed. God had promised Abraham and Sarah a son. But Abraham and Sarah got impatient and they went and they decided a scheme or devised a scheme to where they could have their own son. That son name was Ishmael. Now back in chapter 2 of Genesis 22, God said, take thine son, thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest. God didn't even recognize Ishmael. And I stopped by this morning to let you know that Abraham loved Isaac. Oh, yes, he loved Isaac. Isaac was the promised son. But God told Abraham in this very chapter, at this very mountain, to take Isaac and sacrifice him. You see, Mount Moriah is the place of personal sacrifice. It's not a debate room with God. It's a place of surrender. You're surrendering that thing that you love, that's taking the place of God. You love it so much that sometimes you'll find yourself putting that thing above God. And God will put you at your Moriah mountain. And God will ask you to sacrifice that which you love more than him. The Bible clearly tells us that you are not your own. You are bought with a price. But there's some things I want you to see when God told Abraham at his Moriah moment that we can take and learn for ourselves. Number one, Mount Moriah is a test of patience. God, you really? I waited so long for this blessing. I waited so long for this gift, and you're asking me to take it and to give it back. You see I'm struggling. You see I needed this, and now you're asking me, would you please give it back? Well, God, I might just have to tell you no. I mean, if you didn't want me to have it, you would have never gave it to me. That's not what God said to Abraham. God said, take that which you love and offer it back to me. And I stopped by here this morning to let you know that we must find ourselves in a place to sacrifice some stuff so that our faith, just the small faith we have, could suggest to God that He is number one. He is the priority in our life. You see, Mount Moriah will be your test of faith. Do you believe in the promises of God, even when everything looks impossible? Do you trust in God, even if He does not deliver? What if God had to go ahead and told Abraham to kill Isaac, and Isaac died as a result of being the sacrifice? What if God wouldn't deliver the 3 Hebrew boys in the fiery furnace? What if God didn't deliver Daniel in the lion's den? What if God doesn't deliver you in your moment? Does that make God any less God? My friend, no. That does not make God any less God. However, that makes your faith even greater. Somebody better hear what I'm trying to tell you. You see, Mount Moriah will be your test of love. It will reveal whom or what you love the most in your life. Mount Moriah will be your test of endurance. How much are you willing to endure for the Lord, even if it hurt? Will you give up easily and follow the Lord? Or will you try to hold on to that which you love and the Lord at the same time? Just think about what I'm asking. God told Abraham to offer up his son, his only son Isaac, whom you love. You see, God's purpose was to see if Abraham would obey without having all the facts. Would he absolutely trust God to deliver when he couldn't see no way? You see, Moriah wasn't a place of warm feelings, my friend. Moriah was a place of dread. Moriah was a place of tears. And I stopped by here this morning to let you know that you are going to run into your Mount Moriah. You have to decide between God and that which you love. And sometimes, my friends, giving up what you love to show God that you love him most, that he's a priority in your life, will cause you tears. I may have to lose a husband. I may have to lose a wife. I may have to lose a job. I may have to lose some friends. I may have to lose some stuff along the way at this Mount Moriah to show God that I do love him. You see, it wasn't until Abraham raised the dagger to slay Isaac that God stepped in. And I stopped by this morning to let you know that even if God don't step in, you need to continue to obey. Why? Because it will be a test of your humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. I'm going to say it one more time. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. I must decrease so that God can increase in my life. And the only way that God can increase in my life is I got to get rid of that stuff that's hindering God from being increased. Hello, somebody. It's a test of my endurance. It's a test of my faith. It's a test of my love. It is called my Mount Moriah. It's a place where I must sacrifice. And here's the question. Are you willing to sacrifice for the Lord? Are you willing to give the Lord the best that you got? You see, sacrifice means that it's going to cost you something. When Jesus saw the widow give her 2 copper coins, he said of her, she gave all that she had. My friend, as I get ready to close this Thursday throwback, I want to let you know there are 3 kinds of giving that I can see in Genesis 22. And let me use an example. There's a flint. When it's struck against a hard surface, it sparks. There's a sponge. When it is squeezed, when pressure is applied, the contents come out. And then there's the flower. It blossoms freely, giving off a perfume odor. My friend, this morning, which do you give at your Mount Moriah? Are you like a friend? No, God, no, God. I'm like this flint. I'm going to have to spark up against you. I will not sacrifice that which you told me to sacrifice. Are you like a sponge? God, are you for real? Are you crazy? Are you kidding me? You want me to give this up? So you get easily angered with God because God is asking you to put faith in him that despite what he's taken from you, he's God enough to replace that and much, much more in your life. But are you like a flower? God, I'm going to obey you. I'm going to sacrifice you. I'm going to love you no matter how much pain it brings me. Abraham gave God his heart. Abraham gave God all his soul. And I stopped by you this morning to let you know, in my final words, all that is not given is lost. Say it one more time. All that is not given is lost. Are you willing to give yourself to God? Or are you remaining? Or are you desiring to stay lost? This is Brother Anthony, the Broad Street Church of Christ, and we love you, and there's nothing that you can do about it.